Go through what they are. So we'll have a chair, vice chair, and then a secretary. So those are the three standard positions that we have every year. And then for committees, we have the policy committee, we have the finance committee, we have the teacher luncheon, which is a fairly shorter thing at the start of the year. Then we have governing board policy committee, so that's at the SAU 41 level. We have SAU 41 governing board budget committee, so that's a little difference there. This says the school and town service committee. I think that's been overcome by events. I've been on that, and you certainly before you were even on the school board, but I think that one's completed now. And then the superintendent performance evaluation committee. So we'll have chair, vice chair, secretary. I would suggest the finance committee potentially being the same person for Brookline and SAU. I would suggest similarly for the policy between SAU 41 and Brookline. And then the teacher luncheon and the superintendent evaluation. And last and not least, there is the manifest signatures, which traditionally goes to the newer board members. So just so you're aware of that, that's everyone's favorite. So that's why it's a rite of passage, and two people have to do it.
I did not add it.
Okay. So anyway, we will go through those at our next meeting. But if you could think about what you're interested in too in advance, that'd be great. That way we don't have to lose another cycle of meeting then.
And Ken, that's 2 for the manifest, but 1 for everybody else.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't remember. Thanks.
Yep. Okay, so with that then, we will go into non-public then. So,
Correct. It'll be a motion to go into non-public. The 3 existing board members will vote. The 2 new board members are invited guests to non-public.
okay. I will make a motion then that the board by roll call go into non-public pursuant to RSA 91A3 2A, dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, and 91A3 2C to discuss a matter which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of a person other than the member of the body or agency itself. So you need a second?
Yeah, I second that.
Okay, and we'll have 3 roll call here just for now. Colleen, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Okay?
Kelly Zachary, aye.
And Ken, I. So we are in non-public at 5:35.
Yep, we're going to go out and we're going to
Back in our public session at 6:05 now. We will start with any agenda adjustments.
Yeah, I have a recommendation under deliberations. I would recommend that we table BCA Code of Ethics and DFA investments and do that on the 29th as the full board.
Yep.
Okay? And that would be it.
Okay, great. I believe we do have something under correspondence, resignations, retirements, and nominations.
Yes, I have two pieces. First of all, I have wanted to make sure I thank the community for coming out yesterday. I've already congratulated Tracy and Allison, and I want to thank everybody who ran. That's greatly appreciated. And for all those people that came out. And then we have a retirement. Dear Mr. Molinari and Mr. Corey, I am writing this letter to let you know that after much thought and deliberation, I will be retiring from teaching. The reason for taking this year off was due to family situations. I have decided to continue to support my family even though I will greatly miss teaching. My teaching experience at RMMS has been rewarding and gratifying. Over the 24 years that I have been teaching at RMMS, I have been able to watch the kindergarten program grow and change to meet the needs of the community. It has been a pleasure to be part of the RMMS staff. I have enjoyed working with Mr. Molinari and my colleagues. Working with the students to create a classroom family, then watch the students achieve both academically and socially has truly been a wonderful experience that I have enjoyed immensely. The parents of the PTO have always been supportive in helping the teachers offer many enrichment activities for the students both at school and off-site. It has been a pleasure to serve the community of Brookline with gratitude. That is from Lauren Aruda. Yeah, and that is obviously with regrets from us to her. And I would need a motion and an acceptance of that.
What is the effective date at the end of this year? This
Yeah, she's out now, but it would be June 30th of this year.
30th. Thank you. Okay.
Motion to accept. I'll second.
Motion to accept the letter of intent to retire received from Lauren Aruda with an effective date of June 30th, 2023. That's what you're motioning?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And you second that?
Yep.
All right. Okay, any discussion? Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Certainly, right? I think okay. All right, all those in favor?
Kelly, do just hands.
3-0. Yep, you're good with hands now. Okay,
The other piece, just so the community is aware, next Monday, will be welcoming aboard Jonathan Verite. Jonathan is coming to us from SAU 39. He will be taking over as our special education administrator for the Brookline School District. Jonathan has his advanced degree in educational leadership from Plymouth State University. He has his Master's of Education in General Special Ed from Southern New Hampshire University, and he has his Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from the University of New Hampshire. We're very excited to bring Jonathan on. I'd like to publicly thank SAU 39 for their willingness to work with us in order to make this happen at this time of year. And we can't wait to see him arrive on Monday. So that was just an informational update on that.
that's great.
And
Okay,
that ends my pieces there.
great. Okay, so at this point, we are open for any public input. I always quickly do a summation of policy BEDH. We allow for 30 minutes to hear public input. It may be extended by majority of board vote. Individual speakers are allotted for 3 minutes per person. Chair will recognize speakers on a first-come, first basis. Please identify yourselves and home address for the record. And except for otherwise provided in this policy, members of the public may offer comments on agenda items. So with that, we'll open up for any public input. Hello there.
Good evening. Casey Petron Ellis, 7 Smith Road, Brookline. I just want to say thank you for your time and congratulations to both Tracy and Allison. Really excited that you guys will be serving and appreciate it. So I'm here this evening to bring a serious issue to everyone's attention. Earlier this month, I received a phone call from CSDA about a deeply concerning incident targeting one of my children. As a mother of biracial children, I knew the day would come when they would experience racism firsthand, but I never anticipated it happening in elementary school. My heart sank that day, but I will be forever grateful to have learned that the incident was not only witnessed, but also firsthand accounts were reported to an adult. As I received more details, I learned about the widespread use of the N-word. This is by upper elementary kids at CSDA. Children have no reason to ever have heard this word at home or elsewhere. It shouldn't be one that is ever used, and certainly not in the presence of children. How incredibly sad for both my family and each of yours. Additionally, 3 families have come forward to share that their children had also been present when other students have used the N-word at school and on the bus. If what I've shared so far wasn't bad enough, I've also found out that bullying in general has significantly increased at CSDA and become more problematic and trending issues for our teachers, staff, and administrators to deal with. What I find extremely troublesome, there are a number of children that do not feel safe speaking up to report this behavior. I think it is important for parents to be made aware of these issues, including the steps taken in school to address them, those which aren't considered private and specific to an individual or individuals, of course. We need to empower our kids, the students, the teachers, and the administration to fully challenge bullying and racism when it occurs, or the message that gets sent to the offenders that it isn't condoned, and in turn continues to fester and spread, which creates a hostile and unsafe environment for our students and staff. To my fellow parents, please talk to your kids. They don't have to like my kids. They don't have to be buddies with my kids. They don't have to attend each other's birthday parties, but what they must do is at the very least be kind, not cruel or offensive. That is what I ask of you from one concerned parent to the next. Together, I believe parents, teachers, administrators, along with the school board and SAU can partner to ensure everyone, especially our children and teens, feel safe, welcomed, and valued in both Brookline and Hollis, because issues that start in early elementary school often follow the offenders and their targets into middle and high school as well. I'd like to close my input with a request. I would like to know how CSDA and ultimately the SAU as a whole will be addressing these issues head on. Because at the end of the day, my son and each and every one of your children and teens deserve to feel safe and included at school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Levitt, 2 Birch Hill Road, Brookline. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Thank you for opening up to public comment. I'm a teacher myself. I've been to school board meetings, and sometimes they're just extra fun. This evening, I was looking at the SAU 41 website before I came to the school board meeting to look for any policies or procedures about hate speech and racial slurs at school, and I did not find anything. I did find the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee page, and it reads, in progress, in progress, in progress. And I believe that was introduced maybe in early 2020, 2021. From the mission and vision portion of the SAU41.org website, the 4th line item reads, quote, "The staff, services, and culture will enhance student self-esteem and employ a variety of strategies to meet the academic, social, emotional, and safety needs of all students. Every time we lose a student to death by suicide because of bullying and discrimination, every time a student drops out of school because of bullying and discrimination, every time a parent pulls their child from our school and enrolls them elsewhere, we're failing to meet those above we're failing to meet the above referenced mission and vision values. Our silence implies consent. Our failure to condemn racism and bigotry on our campuses ultimately condones racism and bigotry on our campuses. There's no such thing as it was just a joke in these situations. We're no longer allowed to ignore this in the hopes that it will go away. We are no longer allowed to pretend that, quote, there's no racism in Brookline. Kids bring to school the family values they're raised with, and kids repeat at school the racial slurs and hate speech they hear at home. School administrators, school board members, community members, I implore you, we must do better. I ask administrators and school board members to demonstrate your commitment to the mission and visions referenced above. The staff, services, and culture will enhance student self-esteem and employ a variety of strategies to meet the academic, social, emotional, and safety needs of all students. Demonstrate loud and clear your commitment to ensuring your strategies meet our students' needs. Thank you very much. I'm very much looking forward to news of our progress and success and the achievement of our mission and vision in our school districts. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, all set? Just want to make sure. Thank you. All right, thank you for your public input this evening. I guess first of all, I'm sorry that happened to you and your family. I think typically for these, there's not going to be a lot of action that happens tonight as part of this. We are forming our policy committee in our next meeting, and I would just suggest this is something that we discuss as part of policy as we proceed forward. Does that work to everyone for tonight?
I just wanted to
Yeah.
say I'm sorry also, and that you did a wonderful job of presenting. And I do think we have an issue that needs to be addressed, but that we all have a roadmap for that we might have been taken away from. But the roadmap is really social emotional learning to start with, and DEI also. And we can't be afraid of people who are coming at this with bigoted views. We have to help our children.
I also wanted to say thank you very much for coming forward. I know that was a really difficult thing to do, and it reminds me that at our last meeting, before the public meeting cycle and the hearings and the budget cycle, we heard from a young student, a young person from CSDA who was feeling ostracized. I think the term they use is dress coded. And my perception of that student's testimony was that they didn't feel safe at school, and that wasn't enhancing their learning. So I really appreciate Kathy for you bringing those words from our mission statement forward, because it did make me recall that student's public testimony. And so I think that in addition to policy, I think it does give us pause that we need to look at the superintendent's DEI task force and see where we're going with that. And also, we have made moves to look at a climate survey for the faculty and staff in our buildings. I think we need to figure out a way to find out how our children are feeling. I know last year there were also parents who came forward with concerns about bullying. And so I'm concerned that our kids are not feeling safe, and if our kids aren't feeling safe at school, they're not going to be open and ready to learning and growing, which is what we want them to be doing. So I just hope that as a board we can come up with some actionable ways to figure out what's going on in our schools and how we can address them and improve them for our students and our families.
I just wanted to say one more thing, backing up what Kelly said, is that I think we're starting to use data a little bit more in non-academic settings with the climate survey for teachers, but that given what I've heard as a mother in particular, and what other people have shared, some students are not feeling safe. They go to school because they have to, because their parents make them, and we need to figure out how many of those students there are, and no student should feel unsafe, but how big of a problem we have so that we can tackle it. So I would love to see a student survey. I know it would be with parent permission. We don't want to give any survey to a student whose parent doesn't want it, but to find out for the majority what is going on. I've heard from parents that are saying their kids are going to physicians and getting that typical survey you get and finding out, oh, my son or daughter doesn't feel safe. I've heard stories as a mother of girls who are called, I'm not even going to say it here, but slurs based on their weight and on their sexuality put together. And maybe this is just one grade, and maybe that's what I'm hearing, but I have a feeling it could be more widespread. So we owe it to our kids to get the data just like we do on academics and then move forward with that. It's nobody's fault. It's a societal issue, but we have to address it and not be afraid of it.
Thank you for speaking up. I think the other thing I'd like to make sure that we address and look at, based off of the comments, is how students feel and in terms of reporting issues when they come up. There should not be a singular method. I want to make sure that we've got multiple ways for our students to report issues and concerns so that there's a comfortable way for each student to be able to do so. And I would like us as a group to make sure that as we move forward to try to make sure we're meeting our mission and make sure that we're addressing all areas of the concerns, that is something that we make sure we look at. And that might play into a student survey of where do you feel that, how do you feel safe reporting when something comes up? Because not all students might not have a trusted adult. They might not feel comfortable putting on paper. So what are those ways that students, and I think, get that input and have multiple means of communication from when reporting? So thank you, and I'm sorry you guys are going through that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't disagree with anything. I totally agree with everything. A lot of that still strikes me as policy personally. We have a Choose Love campaign that I think we can really continue to pull at. We had the D&I thing that we did during the COVID time that we can pull at. And we have a curriculum coordinator that we're going to be able to hire now too, which will help with, I think, these efforts too. So we've got some steps ahead. It won't be immediate, but I think brainstorming and hearing the community feedback is very valuable. We've made it through a budget cycle now, so that's always frees up some school board time too, which is great. Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay. So with that, we will move over to deliberations, and we'd have one this evening. And I'll put a motion out, and then we can talk to it. Does that sound okay? Make a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation for teacher nominations as presented. Need a second from someone?
I'll make a second.
Okay, so that's on the floor to discuss now. Is there anything else we want to go over, or we're good? Okay, so we did talk about this in depth in non-public. So I have no further comments unless anyone else does. We have 3 voting members again for this one. So all those in favor? 3-0. Very good. Thank you. As we discussed, we are going to skip the 2 policies until next meeting. And now we're down to the informational section.
In your board packet, I had provided you with an update as of 3/13/23 on our revenue and expense report. As the board members who have been going through the year will notice, we are making significant progress in a positive direction. We are currently showing that we would have an unreserved fund balance of $53,091. Back in December, that number was a negative, but as we have been telling you all along, that's because we use a encumbrance system of accounting. So as money frees up month to month, we never expect to go below the number that we put there under the unreserved fund balance, but we do expect it to continue to expand. When we take up our meeting on the 29th of April, we'll have some discussions around the ADA compliance projects that we've completed, as well as the special ed, and start to discuss if we want to look at either one of those two trust funds to take care of that balance. The dollar amount that we would be funding through the unreserved fund balance is $55,000, which is what the voters approved, because as you will recall, the fire alarm system was taxpayer funded, so that was funded last night through the voting, so that is taken care of. And then please understand that we need to fund the retained fund balance, but we have the retained fund balance, which we have not touched yet. So from a mathematical piece, it's kind of a wash, but from a year-to-year basis, in August, you would reapprove the unretained fund balance, or you could decide to send that back to the taxpayers. That's totally your call. I'd like to thank the business office as they continue to do an outstanding job, because we were, running very tight this year because of unexpected special ed costs. They provide us these reports month to month as we go through the spring, just so we can stay well informed on that. So you'll see this back here again on the 29th, and we'll know our status then, and that'll kind of lead our discussion on that. Are there any questions about the revenue or expense report? Seeing none, I'm going to turn it over to Gina so she can talk about the school calendar for 23-24.
All right, so taking a look at the calendar, it looks similar to what it always looks like. Our teachers would return the Monday prior to Labor Day. Students would start the Thursday prior to Labor Day on August 31st. September would just have our traditional Labor Day. October 5th would be an early release scheduled, just so we have 4 in this calendar. And I put /CSPT, that would be our planned suicide prevention training that's mandatory for all staff, so we would plan it for that day. October 9th, Columbus Day, school holiday.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
Why are we doing the 5th instead of the 6th, out of curiosity?
So, just as we did this year, we are putting our early releases on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and not on Fridays to encourage school attendance. And also because the co-op has late start Fridays, so it's difficult when you have late start and early release to have school in the middle.
Yeah, okay. I hear ya. I'm just thinking of the disruption that it caused. I just wonder if like Tuesday the 10th then we could do or something. I don't know. Okay, thanks.
Yep. Looking at November, a difference would be a professional day on November 1st. So we don't have the voting on the 7th. So we thought November 1st, the day after Halloween, might be a better day for a professional day. Then we have Veterans Day. The 21st up against our Thanksgiving holiday would be an early release, so that would be butted up against the holiday, or the Thanksgiving recess, I should say. Moving into December, always important to look at when that vacation week is. So the 22nd of December would be the last day of school before we have our week off, and then Monday the 1st is the holiday, returning January 2nd on the Tuesday.
Gina, is the early release on the 22nd, that's another afternoon of training for the teachers? Or we just,
Early release November 21st?
I'm sorry, the 21st, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything that says early release is a professional development day, right?
Yes, the
Okay,
teachers are working
that's
together for the
absolutely
2 hours,
understood. Yeah,
yes.
thank you.
We have January 15th as a holiday. January 29th is a Monday early release for our 3rd one of the school year. Our 4th one of the school year is February 7th. So we're trying to front load these. I will say that you saw in the budget a little bit of literacy training and math training. So we are going to be doing very intensive math instructional training and some literacy pieces with the intensive literacy training the following year. So these early releases were scheduled a little bit earlier in the year to make sure we could front load them and review student data along the way. So that was intentional of shifting them a little bit. Our February break would be scheduled for the last week of February, which bleeds into March 1st.
Is that still a week after the Massachusetts ones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that schedule. I just want to say that out loud. I love it.
So do the ski mountains. Okay, moving on to March. So I have placed the second full professional day on March 12th, which is voting day, which I know is preferred for the Brookline School District, so we don't have students at CSDA.
Great.
Looking at April, it's, we often have the last week of April, but really what we try to do is follow Massachusetts. So Massachusetts has the week of Patriots Day, and so it actually, for us, would be April 22nd through the 26th. So our students would return on April 29th to school. May just has Memorial Day. June 6th would be the last day for preschool. I don't know why there's another school right there, but I'll take that off. June 19th would be, I understand what I did. So June 18th would be the last day for students, including all 5 snow days, June 18th. And then June 19th would be the last day for teachers. So very similar to every year. The difference would be the PD days and when they're scheduled.
I'm really happy to see that March 12th is a full day off. I heard from parents yesterday morning who were very concerned about sending their children to CSDA yesterday, even though it was a half day, especially being on the day after another school shooting in America. And, despite our best efforts, it's just can't really account for everything. I did speak with the Brookline supervisor of the checklist, because I knew that we were going to be discussing the calendar, first draft of it anyway. And the other election day that will fall in the school year calendar will be probably in January or February, which will be the presidential primary. However, the Democratic National Committee has said that New Hampshire can't be first in the nation, and the Republican National Committee has said that New Hampshire will be first in the nation. And so we certainly don't have a date for a single primary at this point in time. And I think there's the potential that there could be 2 separate primary dates for each party. But I feel really strongly that we not have school in session on those days, or that voting not take place in one of our school buildings. So I don't have a proposed day, but I guess I just would like to, I don't know if there's an option to have those be like potential snow days, when those dates become known, or if there's any possibility of looking at an alternative location. I mean, the whole town of Hollis, which had, I think, almost 4 times the number of voters that we did in Brookline yesterday, conducts their voting at the Lawrence Barn, which is a much smaller location than our gymnasium at CSDA. So I just want to put that out there.
I would back that, because if you didn't bring that up just now, I was about to. Because I also heard the same thing, and my husband came out from voting and said the exact same. He goes, I could have gone left or right. Nobody would have stopped me. And it's a day after. And had our daughter been in the upper elementary school, she wouldn't have gone to school yesterday. It's just, despite every best effort that we try to do, the culture in this nation right at the moment, we have to do everything possible, and we don't want to wait for something to happen. We need to be proactive. So I would say we need to watch to where those dates are going to fall and have a plan, if possible.
So,
Yep, so I think this is always a discussion.
Yeah.
And I continue to request the March date, and there's a lot of pushback from our other 2 districts, because that's not a concern for them. But I continue to bring it forward. So we try to compromise every year. But I think if you are looking to make a suggestion to move a voting, especially for a relatively smaller election, then I think that's where the conversation needs to start, because it's really about the location and what can manage the voting.
Yeah, so I agree. I'm hopeful that we can hold the March 12th this year. Last year, that Lawrence Barn that's what drove it. So that's why it's nice to get out ahead of the schedule now before it's voted on and we're last in the order. We talked about using the convention center in the past. I think we could look at that again. I think one of the concerns that got brought up was handicap accessibility, if I remember right. Lawrence Barn has one side that's paved, and then there's a bunch of dirt on the other side. I think the convention center has one little concrete slab, and I think that was the problem. But it's certainly something we can look at, because this is gonna be put into place in the next month or so, so stuff that's out there is unfortunately not gonna be covered by this.
What about this, has there ever been this conversation about the safety complex in Brookline?
So that's new, so that's another option that we could look at, certainly. We had kind of batted this around. I think it's a great thing to look at, in parallel. And, because I think
They've used it as
we
a warming
consistently,
center, they've used it for
Yeah.
vaccine clinics.
I think the concern that they've responded to in the past was the parking.
Yeah.
However, we don't decide where voting is, but the town does. So the more conversations that can be brought to the town, the better.
so I think we're hot on it again, let's keep it rolling. Yeah, you mentioned the safety complex, I was thinking somewhere else that which I don't think would work, but the big building next to the transfer station, the new,
Or the DPW.
could we do something there too? I don't
Yeah,
know.
why can't we do that?
But there are some options that we could look at, so. Okay, so
One
we're, yeah,
one
go
thing I
ahead.
just want to mention, I hope for everybody's sake that we don't run all the way till June 19th with, especially for teachers that have to come the day after, but that is Juneteenth, which is a holiday, so I just bring it up for
Yeah,
awareness.
so that is a holiday. Not all holidays are days off. For our full year staff, the Juneteenth was observed on an alternate date, just to support like the financial aspect of the day off. But we ran into this last year and we handled it the same way.
Okay.
I will reach out to the town and see if we can do some different pieces. I'll also reach out to the teachers' union. I'm not a huge fan of a remote day. If that gave people peace of mind, that might be something we could consider, especially if it was on the calendar well in advance, because I do understand the concerns. So we'll do a little legwork and hopefully have some updates for you on the 29th so that we can make a better informed decision. If you decide that you just don't want to be open that day, that it's something you just need to let us know, and we'll figure out a solution. Mhm.
Thank
I
you.
might be what is the 29th? Is that April?
So I think it's April 19th that we're referring to,
Is
the
that
next school board
Our
meeting.
next school board
Next
meeting.
super meeting.
That's right.
April next- today's-
I jumped into
Okay,
the
because I'm on
last Friday.
vacation, that's a Saturday, I was like,
Yeah.
I got the wrong tickets, I
No,
was just.
I'm away too, so.
Okay, all right, good.
The
April
19th.
19th,
Yep.
okay, I just want to make
Thank you.
sure, because
Yep.
I'm bad with remembering things.
Thank you for catching that.
No worries.
Okay, any other discussion on that, or are we good to?
Can I just say, sorry, one thing
Please.
before we adjourn? I just wanted to say to the public input speakers, thank you. And I know, DEI topics, anti-racism topics, anti-bullying topics, they're really difficult for us as adults to talk about in open and honest ways. I know we deal with that at work, and we're trying to figure out ways to, to do that. And I can't imagine that it's easy for children to do that. And so I think it's really important for us to lead by example. And I just wonder if, as we're looking at policies and procedures and ways to move forward with this really important topic, how we can do that as a board, as administrators, as teachers, to get some training so that we can speak open and honestly about what's really going on, to be able to listen, and to lead by example. So I just wanted to put that out there. I think it's really important for us to do that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll just make a motion to adjourn. That was abrupt, but all those in favor? 3-0, 6:40, right on the nose. Good job. Thank you.
Time to go